All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I am your host, Damon Pistolka, and I am so excited today because we have none other than Sloan from EZ-Chow with us today. And we are going to be talking about the critical role of perseverance in entrepreneurship. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. I'm super excited about being here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because you, my friend, have lived this. You've lived this, and we're going to get into that with EZ-Chow. You've got an incredible background prior to that, and then I think that really helped you to, launch EZ-Chow and take it to where it's at today. But let's start like we always do, Mo. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to EZ-Chow.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So it's kind of funny because even when I've been coding and developing computer programs since I was a kid, born in the late 70s, definitely a product of the 80s. My first computer was a Commodore VIC-20. And I actually ran what was called a bulletin board system, BBS.
Yeah.
Back in the day, back in the War Games day and Matthew Broderick days, etc. But anyway, nonetheless, I always had an affinity for business systems and helping people solve problems. So I spent several years at Papa John's as an architect there, where I got to work firsthand on their online ordering system, their point of sale rewrite, their coupon management system, what they call virtual back office, which was their back office operational management system and reporting system, et cetera. So I got to see firsthand how technology benefited a restaurant, or especially an entity like Papa John's. Mm-hmm. And so when I left Papa John's and went to Humana, it was a totally different line of business. You go from food service, restaurant, hospitality over to health insurance, specifically pharmacy. And while at Humana, my role wasn't as much hands-on coding and developing as I wanted at the time. Uh-huh. And so I just kind of would tinker. So I went back to the original idea that I had in probably the late 90s, around access databases, Microsoft Access databases and point of sales and everything specific for pizza places. But nonetheless, I reached out to a local pizzeria here in Louisville, Kentucky. Was like, hey, I like your pizza. But you don't have online ordering, why is that? And this was 2015, this was 2014-ish that I did that. And they were like, we want online ordering, but we needed to integrate it with our point of sale. And I knew exactly what they meant by that and why that was important, because as I mentioned, I spent several years at Papa John's. So it was just this opportunity where I recognized the problem. This is, 9 years ago, and it might as well be 20 the way it feels. But I recognize the problem that restaurants would need to go to restaurants would need online ordering. And therefore was like, well, why can't I develop a solution that provides restaurants the ability to do online orders, specifically targeting the segment of the market, SMBs, where they don't have the resources such as a Papa John's, et cetera. So that's how EZ-Chow got started.
Yeah. So when you were at Papa John's, were you part of that? I mean, was that during the time when they were really developing out the online ordering a lot?
Yeah. So when I was at Papa John's, it was it was really when pizza places had the online ordering. That was really, it was exploding, right? And I left Papa John's in 2013. So I was there for about a period of 6 years, 2007, 2013. And I got to see, them rewrite the online ordering system. Wow. And I got to participate in that and was one of the developers and architects on that, as well as I got to deal with their virtual back office. Also got to work with some of their point of sale rewrite. They were going to a proprietary point of sale they were developing in-house. So I got to see a lot of their technology. But in those early days, like I said, it seems like it's the Flintstones now. Yeah. But in those early days, it was a lot of restaurants that technology wasn't easily accessible. As it is today with the cloud-based POS systems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. So when you first thought of EZ-Chow, mm-hmm. Because it's different even from Papa John's, because Papa John's was talking about online ordering.
Mhm.
And yes, EZ-Chow initially started out, but you've expanded EZ-Chow into now kiosks and other things like that as well.
Mhm.
Did you really think that EZ-Chow was going to go into this multi-format kind of thing where you can have an in-store kiosk, online ordering, all that?
Yeah. The original plan, and we still have, we call them digital ordering channels, right? And so
Okay.
we focused, it was simply online ordering was the easiest entry point into that,
Okay.
into the space from an ordering perspective. And so because it didn't require hardware, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Oh yeah.
we
Yeah.
always planned on expanding. COVID and the great the labor event that was a result of COVID, where people were basically doing a lot of quiet quitting and those kind of things. And the people that were in the restaurant, food, and hospitality industry, a lot of them didn't go back, especially in the QSR and fast casual area. So it led to the need. It sped the necessity up for a kiosk and the ability to self-order.
Yeah.
Right, self-ordering is not anything new. Banks and gas pumps, well, I guess we're technically the first ones to do it. And
Yeah.
then ATMs and grocery stores, and now now it expands into restaurants and specifically QSRs and fast casuals.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's take a step back. When you started EZ-Chow, you started thinking about it. Um, and we talked about it here before we got on. Your venture backed company now. It takes money in the tech industry to be able to grow a company. What are some of the things that you didn't know at the beginning that you go, I would do it a little bit
Yeah.
differently, knowing what we have to do now?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give a shout out to a website that's been very helpful for me in answering that question, and it's reformingretail.com. I've been trying to get whoever the webmaster is. I've been trying to get them to give me a shout because they're very knowledgeable about the retail restaurant order payment space. So to answer your question, payments, right? This a lot of when I first started this, because of my purview from Papa John's, I was focused on but pre-COVID, maybe 7 to 8% of restaurants' volume was online orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't it wasn't the whole shebang. So from our perspective, it was always about making sure that order could get into that POS in the most efficient way possible. And so so my perspective of working at Papa John's, where I got that was the number one thing, is about efficiency, right? We're trying to maximize margins
Yeah.
and whatnot. So that's how I took the development of the system, was to focus on the ordering aspect. Well, it really, unbeknownst to me, in the way that software, and specifically in the restaurant and the food tech sector, has changed, especially from when I got started to now. No longer do you see the legacy-based point of sales, which are with the client server architecture, where you have a
Yeah.
desktop running, and then you have these big terminals that connect and blah blah. Now it's either iPad or Android based POS system. So mobile based POS systems running off of mobile operating systems. And so therefore, a lot of the features have gotten better, it's quicker to develop, et cetera. But the cost had the amount you can charge a customer, the price you can charge a customer has gone down.
Yeah.
Because the perceived value is, even though there might be, people can't, it's different than buying cars. You can tell the difference between a Ferrari and a Honda, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't tell the difference between a Ferrari written software and a Honda written software.
Ooh, yeah.
Other than, you can't on the surface, other than once you use it, you're like, man, you can tell, like, you get a lot of bugs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so what's happened, unfortunately, is that a lot of operators have devalued their software, right? They think that if they get orders from DoorDash or Grubhub, or they put up a website, or they got a Facebook page, or they send emails out, they send texts out, or they think if they touch on some of the one or some of these components that they've done something, for lack of a better term, and really they haven't. And so, but it's the whole technical ecosystem and understanding that the value that it brings to a merchant, right? Understanding that, hey, you're getting you're getting your orders in, and because they're coming in this digital manner, they're 99.9% correct because it's based upon what the customer, everything lines up. It's efficient for your operations, and therefore that software is of value. Now, all I'm saying is that it goes back to the question that you asked. What do I wish I knew then that I know now? And that's unfortunately that the only way to be successful in this space from a business perspective, because not talking about our mission is to help Joe Pizza sell as many pizzas as he can at his restaurant, his pizzeria, so that he can open up another store. We believe in the American dream, and that's our mission. Nice. from a social perspective.
Yeah.
But from a business perspective, is obviously to make money. And unfortunately, the only way that software companies that do ordering, that provide that front of house engagement, can generate revenue is through monetizing payment stream. And so I wish I knew that a long time ago, because then we would be in a lot different spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's very interesting, as you say, the transition from on-site, more on-site based POS to totally digital, totally mobile. As long as you can connect, you're good with your mobile based POS systems, and how that changed the value, the perceived value of those systems.
Yeah. It's a race to the bottom, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah.
And so what you see a lot of companies do is the way you basically the way you grow and continue to scale, kind of like we talked about before this show started, is that you have to add features and then monetize on top of the payments. So that yes, you may have to I may sell credit card processing to you for 3.25%. But the reason it comes at 3.25% is because it includes your website, includes your marketing campaigns, includes your email campaigns, includes your loyalty mobile app, includes all these different things that allow you to run your business and grow your business. And therefore, you have to participate on the payment side. Unfortunately, it's not, it's nebulous. It's a nebulous environment, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting environment, that's for sure. So you talked a little bit about it. Let's talk about, you're running in 2019, everything looks good, and then you hit COVID, and we're talking it's the end of 2020. I mean, it had to just skyrocket demand for your product.
Yes, it did. Now, but the unfortunate thing was that, it's kind of catching it's all about timing. I think there's a good song from a country movie I like, Country Strong or something like that. And it talks about the song's about second off, either which way they don't meet. Right.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate way with COVID. COVID was probably was probably the hottest chick we've ever would have met. But we met her. We were 16 years old with braces and was scrawny. We just started lifting weights. We weren't ready. And then boom, when we're ready, she's no longer there. So, but it would have been perfect for us if it happened 9 months later.
Yeah.
Then when we got funding, funny story, and I think I'm probably one of the few people in the United States or even on planet Earth that can claim this, but we closed our first and only investment capital venture-backed round on March 16th, 17th of 2020, which was the first, whatever that Monday was.
Yeah.
Shelter-at-home orders, right? Because I had an investor call me and was like, hey, if we back out of the deal, does that blow everything up? I was like, yeah, it kind of does. And so, but they ended up not, and we closed and everything. But the problem, it was great on the surface, right? Great from that. But the problem is we started fighting. There's a lot of military strategy you can glean from my experience. One of my advisors, we always talk about the art of war and Sun Tzu and stuff like that. So, but in this case, we were fighting on a very elementary level. We were fighting three different battles, right? 3 different wars on 3 different fronts. Number one, once we closed the round, we had to bring in people that were new to our team. And so we had to train and do all these things. Number 2, you went from, as I mentioned, 6, 7, 8% of their volume, maybe 10% if they're doing some stuff from online ordering volume to 99% overnight.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go into the restaurant. So the only way to order was to order online or call. So, and then that was for so existing customers. We saw our cost increase because our existing merchant partners saw more traffic, more throughput, and we decided at the time not to increase our rates because it was the right thing to do. We didn't know how this was going to come out on the other end, right? We didn't know what it meant for us, so we didn't increase rates. And then new customers that were needing a solution immediately. They were coming to us. Now, unfortunately, the platform wasn't built to. It was a proof of concept to a certain point. It wasn't scalable at that point. And so we weren't. It took us about 6 to 8 weeks to onboard them. It was still a decent amount. It was still a good time back in those days. And 24 years ago, it was still good. It wasn't horrible, not especially because it was POS integrated. 99% was with POS integrated, but it took us from 6 to 8 weeks to onboard a merchant to get them taking orders. Now we can do it in 60 to 80 minutes.
Oh, right? Wow! Wow!
And so we made that kind of efficiencies. But if we had those efficiencies back then, I probably wouldn't be talking to you.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking right now. But that is quite. I mean, wow! That is mind-blowing efficiency gains.
Yeah, no, it is, but it came at a cost, right? The cost is we didn't have a large team. Our runway was short, so it took us longer than we would like to, right?
Yeah.
Because what we're about is we understand the only way to be successful in this sector, as I see it, is to obviously scale. And the only way to scale is to do it efficiently. So you can't have a linear scaling won't work. You got to be able to do the hockey stick from a location support perspective. So our system is all predicated about doing everything in the system, managing the system, and not having developers, not having a bunch of overhead that allows us to run our business as efficiently, as lean as possible. Because it's the right thing to do, and it sets us up well for the future. B, it's because we got to. So you know what I mean.
Yes. Well, this leads us right into the topic so perfectly because we're talking about the critical role that perseverance takes in entrepreneurship. So let's talk about that. As you were close at that round of funding, you had this tremendous demand. What were some of the real, oh my goodness, kind of moments that you had during that time? Because I gotta imagine you had people calling like crazy. You had just got some funding so you could help to scale some of this stuff or get more of these places set up. Yeah. But it had to be challenging.
Yeah, it was challenging, but my experiences in growth didn't really start happening in September of 2020. Okay. So without getting too much into specifics and everything like that, the wars on 3 front caused us to burn through our cash quicker than we anticipated. We didn't see when I started raising fund, when I started capital raising back in 2018, I didn't see a global pandemic happening, and sure as hell didn't see it on the day we closed. So it was all kind of discombobulating from the beginning. We never really got a chance to set our feet and to, quarterbacks, they say you got to set your feet before you get. If you got happy feet, the pass is gonna veer off. We've been scrambling the whole time, and even till now we're still scrambling. But as soon as we can, the perseverance comes in, realizing that hey, you just have to avoid it. If I can just live another down, just put 2 or 3 downs together. Just move the ball, and if you can just keep moving and whatnot, and it's you got to strategize, you got to do all that, but you just have to keep going. And then also at the point too, you just have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, and whatever happens doesn't diminish you as a person. It just means that shit didn't work out.
Yeah. And that is, I tell you what, I think for founders everywhere, that's a huge thing, because sometimes it's just timing, it's market, it's people, it could be a myriad of things. And like you said, it just doesn't work out, but it's not you as a failure. It's just, it just didn't work out because a lot of things didn't happen right, and that's where that perseverance really comes in, because I'm sure there were days you had to go home going, boy, I don't know if tomorrow's going to be another day, or I don't want to do this.
Right. No, I mean, you still, those things are very real, and you can't get away from them. You just have to fight them head on. Right.
Yeah.
And so, you just have to, it sucks. It really does. Cause you question yourself. You're like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why did I do this?
Yeah.
Maybe it's my generation. Maybe it's me being the age. I saw what I took what they taught us in school and internalized that. Right.
Yeah.
Like you finish it out. You put a good job. You do a good job. You do the best you can do. So I took that, and as long as I'm alive and breathing, then I'll give my best shot, and we'll see where the chips fall.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if you were going to share something about perseverance with people that are listening today, what would you share with them?
Oh yeah, don't give up. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Jimmy Valvano speech, right? I go to sports because other than programming and whatnot, sports, I love sports, but I go back to Jimmy Valvano and his "Don't give up, don't ever give up," right? And that's the thing about perseverance is, it looks kind of dreary, but you have to find a way forward. Just figure it out. The cavalry isn't coming, so figure it out.
Yeah, you have to find a way forward. I love that. And I think that is really the secret behind a lot of successful people, is they just found a way forward when a lot of other people may not have, or may not have wanted to take that next step. Yeah, that's awesome. So as we're moving forward now, AI hit the marketplace here. What is it? A year and something ago now, or almost 2 years. As we know it, the Chat GPT thing, as the public knows it. How do you think this is going to have effect on your types of systems? What do you see? Is it's doing or not?
Yeah. Well, a disclaimer. So any 20 some odd year old that gets that takes this and moves on with it, just call me and let me be an advisor. That's all I want to do, right? But here's the 2 areas, at least from a restaurant, because I eat, breathe restaurant hospitality.
Yeah.
So here are the 2 areas that I see, quote unquote, AI impacting. Well, maybe 3, but number 1, conversational ordering, right? So the ability to go up to they have this in Asia now, but the ability to go up to the kiosk and treat it as a virtual employee, talk to it, have a conversation with it, be like, hey, what do you think about the fries? Well, 99.3% of our customers like the fries, or you know what I mean, or whatever that looks like, and they'll be different, not programmed, conversational. Like, hey, what do you think the weather's going to be like tomorrow? Those kind of things, right? So conversational, the ability, and then once you have that, you have the ability to you give the merchant the ability to create virtual employee. So it's all about automation.
Yeah.
The dirty little secret is that it's all about automation, and And capitalism is about maximizing profits and minimizing costs. And the way you minimize costs is get rid of labor as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
Especially human labor, because you need stuff. And
Yeah.
so you take them out, right? I don't agree with it, but that's the way it is. So by doing so, you now basically can run your what's called the front of house automated. Then what happens is, of course, the back of house gets automated. I can barely cook a hamburger, let alone have a robot cook a hamburger. So I'm not even, that's not my area of expertise. So I'm not touching that. But so that's one area. Then you also look at drone delivery and how that will impact, because it goes back to the labor equation again. Get rid of people, you reduce costs significantly. Uber, Lyft, etc. They will have autonomous vehicles and they will use drones to deliver, right? And companies like me will be around to try to compete with that and hopefully beat them to where or that's another story for another day. But that's another aspect. Then third and final is implementing AI into the operations, right? Having it make decisions. You hear something a little bit about Wendy's caught some slack a couple of months ago with dynamic pricing, where things changed on the menu based upon time of day, demand, supply, those kind of things. That's coming. Where the people, they caught hell for it because they were the first to do it, but it's going to come. Just like airlines do dynamic pricing. It's going to come to food. And so you see AI will run those operations. So you don't have to have anyone, you don't have to have a bean counter sitting there. You have someone, you give it a profile, you have it learn, and it will execute what your objectives are. So those are the ways that I see AI implementing themselves into the restaurant. But all of those, if you think about it, all those are just a single thing, which is elimination of the human labor component.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wow. Whew, that's a lot right there. That's a lot right there, because you think about the restaurant industry, restaurant in general. Just think of your local pizzeria, like you said, where you can come in and sit down or, as you said, conversational ordering for someone to be able to just walk in and talk. Even if you'll reduce labor there, but you can still keep the same quality of the food that's coming out and things like that, while still making a bit more. And then the autonomous delivery or by drone delivery, that's a huge thing for a lot of companies, and they don't try it now, but if they could do it economically, that more would.
Yeah. No, that's I think there's a Nissan commercial I've been seeing that's got the drone that hits a sign and falls off.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's coming. It's coming. I think there's a couple of regulations, FAA regulations, those kind of things. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those regulations removed now. And for the interest of business. And then that's going to happen more. So I think it's going to come, but that's a whole conversation for another day, because I'm of the mindset that I don't believe all technology advances are advances for humankind.
Yeah, this is true. And then some of these other things that you were talking about, the operational decisions. I mean, we covered a couple of them there with pricing and things like that, but there are going to be other stuff in the back, even just keeping the right stock in house of product, helping change menu. There's going to be tons of things that it could do that doesn't really affect the labor, but helps the efficiency.
One day I predict, I don't know if it'll be my lifetime, and it may be, but it might not be, but I don't think it'll be too far off. One day I predict you'll, as an individual, will have the ability to go to engage on a website or however it works at that point, and say, hey, I want to open up a chicken franchise with you. And then you'll be able to do it basically you'll be able to set it up without a single person doing it. And that will be, because that right there is maximum efficiency.
Yeah.
And so I think that will happen at some point in the future.
Yeah. So we look at it from this aspect of getting a lot more efficient. Do you see some people are able to utilize this type of efficiency gains to really enhance customer experience by maybe say if I can reduce my labor X much, well, I take half of that reduction and use it on people that are really creating a better customer experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the cost savings that you can gain from automating your front of house ordering, whether it's online ordering, kiosk ordering, or both, is really up to you what you do with those savings, right?
Yeah.
And me personally, as a business owner, I would reinvest those savings into the product to make it better, to generate even more revenue. And of course, a lot of stuff I'm talking about too. We're kind of skipping over a segment, which is a very important: casual dining, right? And as long as you have, I do believe that eventually, because you see robots now, you see robots that take the servers will actually place the food to the robot and then touch where the tables goes, and it takes it out there, and the customer. And while it's simple. I mean, there's no reason that the robot you couldn't order from that robot in the future,
Yeah.
right? But so my point is that that's all possible. But yeah, I think from a technology perspective, you just have to kind of look at everything you do and see where all the touch points are, et cetera, that you can possibly improve on.
So what are you really excited about going forward? What are some new developments or things that you go, this really has me excited?
Yeah, what's got me excited about stuff, like I said, the conversational ordering, the ability to implement that, give merchants the capability to implement that for their operations to generate, to generate additional margins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then just our ability to monetize the payments a little bit more now. Gives us an opportunity to compete with some of the larger entities, because now we can, you can compare our solution to their solution without monetizing payments. We can never really offer that. It didn't look like it was you could compare our solution, but now you can, and I think the perceived value, the value will be perceived better within the market.
Awesome. So as people are listening today, we're talking about the role of perseverance in entrepreneurship, how critical it is. What advice beyond what you said? You said, just keep going. But what are just one piece of advice that someone gave you that has really helped you?
Well, it's along the same lines as the keep on going, but it was a story. And his name is Carl. He used to own the gym that I went to work out. And he, as a business owner, he was part of a masterminds group, a business group. And he actually introduced me to my first partner. Her name was Sally, but she worked for a merchant processing payments company back in the day. But nonetheless, him and I would talk, and he knew a lot was going on business wise with me, and then I would, and we share information. Yeah. But this is probably around 2021, something like that. And it's around the time, like, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Those kind of things where you start having doubts, start creeping in and everything. And he told me a story. He's like, I'm gonna tell you a story, Mo. It's like this guy was during the gold rush in San Francisco, California, right? He buys all this equipment. He goes out to San Francisco, digs for 6 months, not getting anything. Another 6 more months, not getting anything. Finally gives up, sells it to somebody, and then 2 or 3 days later, this person finds gold or whatever, right? Yeah. And the more, I'm sure it didn't anecdotally happen, sure. But the moral of the story is, obviously you can tell, is, hey, you just don't know. That next pile of dirt you pull up, it might be what you're looking for. So you just have to, now you got to be smart. You got to know when to hit the eject button. So and you got to plan for a graceful exit, right? You just you just have to do that, but you have to also just kind of keep going at the same time. It's a weird thing, and I'm not me being a Gemini allows me to kind of think both sides, I guess, at the same time, but it's a really weird thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So one of the things that we were talking about before we got on, and I think that you can help us a lot with, kiosks aren't for every situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the things that people might want to, think about if they're going to consider, is this a good solution for us?
Yeah. So with online ordering, every type of restaurant can benefit from online ordering, right? From bowling alleys to casual sit down to upscale casual to cafeterias to whatever. Most of the time, any place can benefit from online ordering. The only time where I've seen it not really, I wouldn't say beneficial, but it's always beneficial, but maybe not needed, is in the case of fine dining, where you're going to an establishment. Jeff Ruby's here in Louisville is a great example of one where you're going to one and you're not going there. You don't want to get a steak from there to go.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can, but I wouldn't want to. But when it comes to kiosk ordering is a little bit different beast, right? So kiosk ordering as it works today is best suited for QSRs, quick service restaurants, and fast casual restaurants, as well as anything that's counter style. So anything that a customer walks up and says, "Hey, I looks at a menu, I would like this, this, and that." That's perfect for a kiosk. Anything that you go on like a Blaze Pizza, where you're saying, "I want you just walk across the line." Now you don't really have to do that. You could do that on a screen and then just go to the end of the line and wait and whatnot there as well. So, but anything QSR, fast casual, counter style really benefits from kiosks. What doesn't work and also some casual dining. If you have a lot of to-go business, if you got a section for your to-go business where people walk in and sometimes place orders or whatnot, then you could potentially use a kiosk. I wouldn't go overboard more than one, but you could potentially use it. So, those are the times. And then also, too, keep in mind, too, with the kiosk, what we tell our QSR and fast casual merchant partners is, look, where you place the kiosk is critical, right? Because you want to create a circular flow. You want to create an assembly line process where someone comes over, hits the kiosk, grabs the food, maybe hits the kiosk, grabs her cups, goes to the drink station, get the drinks, picks up the food, goes out the door, right?
Yeah.
You want to keep that going. You don't want people crisscrossing each other and stuff like that, because it just, it just bundles, it messes everything up. It's not efficient, right? And you want efficiency when it comes to your customers, because your goal is to, especially in the QSR fast casual, your goal is to get them in and get them out.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's good. That's good. So who are some of the companies that, one of the things we talked about a bit before we got on was, this is the kiosk. Well, first online, there's some businesses that don't have it yet. Some restaurants don't have it, but they need to. But the kiosks, is it just that we see it more in the news, or do you actually see this being adopted more in the big chains like a McDonald's or Burger King or something like that?
I see it. We see it kind of everywhere, right? It's anywhere you see my shirt, need labor cost savings, blah blah. Anywhere where you have high labor costs, or labor availability may be a detriment. That's
Yeah. Yep. That's true. Good stuff. Well, Mo, it's been awesome having you on today. I just your technology and bringing that technology, the big companies have been able to do it, but you're bringing it into these smaller regional chains, smaller restaurants that can really benefit from the online ordering, and then if appropriate, the kiosk. So if someone's listening today, wants to talk to you, what's the best way to reach out and learn more about EZ-Chow?
Yeah, visit ez-chow.com, ez-chow.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Mo Sloan. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. So I'm a little bit on Twitter. If you're, want to hear about my thoughts regarding UL football, you can find them there. But yeah, so
good. Well, Mo, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it, and just love sharing your thoughts on perseverance and the story and EZ-Chow and how you guys have come through and really are building a great product that helps these restaurants, with online ordering, digital through different ways, a kiosk in the restaurant, and just stopping by today and sharing that with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Damon. It's been great. Immensely enjoyed the experience. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I want to say, I see we've got some listeners. We didn't have many people commenting today, but I can see we've got a fair amount of listeners there. Thanks all of you for being here today. If you got into this late, you want to go back to the beginning and start over and listen to Mo from the beginning. He was talking about the story of EZ-Chow and how it took that persistence for him to go from the idea that he formed back in 2014 and built it into what it is today. And he continues to build. So thanks everyone for being here. Mo, hang out for a minute. We'll finish up offline.
All right. Thanks, sir.